pull up a chair. We're just talking blues.
Thank you very much for joining me at the Blues Hotel. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
No problems at all. Now, Renate, your musical path, you're originally from the Netherlands
That's right.
and you've made the trek from there to New Zealand and then to here.
Yes. Yeah. I was born in the Netherlands and grew up there and in New Zealand as well,
Right.
and then ended up in Australia.
Okay. What was the story behind wanting to come to Australia?
I actually got a scholarship to do some studies, not music, but I got a scholarship to study at the University of Sydney. So I was
Yeah,
there for a
right.
little bit. Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. And has music always been a passion of yours?
Yeah, I grew up in a really musical family. So music was really part of our family culture, and we sang together. And we sang around the table, after dinner sort of thing. Yeah, it was just part of our family culture, I guess.
Okay, sure. And what was it that drew you to the jazz and blues sort of genre?
Interestingly, I didn't really grow up with blues or jazz, but I did have a chance encounter. I was living in New Zealand at the time, and we had a family friend come over, and he was a lecturer at the Conservatorium in The Hague. And I was, dutifully doing my grade 1 piano pieces. And I will never forget that he sat behind my piano, our piano, and what came out was magic. I had never heard that sound before. I did not know
Wow.
what jazz was. I didn't know what was possible on the piano. And I think that captured my heart really early on. And it wasn't until much, much later that I kind of delved into that myself. So not so much as a pianist, but exploring the sounds in songwriting and starting to get my head around the jazz theory and how I can incorporate that into some of the songwriting that I do and have always done.
With your songwriting, what sort of process do you use? Is it based off personal experiences? Is it based off tradition? Is it based off fiction?
I'm really fascinated just with humanity and with our shared humanity. And I feel like to live your life well, you have to know yourself and you have to be really willing to look at things thoroughly. So I just find humanity really fascinating, and the glorious in that and the not so glorious. And I think they all lend themselves to stories. And so I hope to tell stories in which people recognize themselves. And especially I kind of want to tell stories that make people feel seen in places where they maybe don't feel recognized, or they find hard to acknowledge certain things. And those are the types of things that I hope with kindness and gentleness put forward, and so that people can connect not just with the song, but with themselves in hearing what I write.
Excellent. Now, I've got here, you describe your music as exploring, and I quote this, the wonder of what it means to be beautifully, imperfectly, and gloriously human. Would that be right?
Yeah.
Sure. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Well, it's kind of what I was saying before. I feel like, you can get really polished stories, you can get your Hollywood stories, and that's great for entertainment. But sometimes I think maybe I should have studied psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't mean for my songs to be like 3.5 minute, therapy sessions.
Yeah.
But I do think if I can tell a story that brings someone to either personal insight or a greater sense of wholeness or greater sense of love for themselves or for the world, and I feel like I've done something good. So,
No.
and to do that, you have to look at the difficult things. And so I do like to put that under the microscope. Yeah.
Excellent. Your singles that you released in 2024, the Tracker, Gumboots, and I can't even
Laat Me
pronounce
Niet
it.
Vallen.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So the inspiration and the themes behind those songs.
Yeah. So Laat Me Niet Vallen, that's a song in Dutch.
Yes.
That That is my first Dutch release. And even though I've been songwriting since I was about 8 or 9 years old, I never used to do any songwriting in Dutch, even though I'm fully bilingual.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until here in Tasmania, I was visiting someone's home and we had a little chat about my music and they were like, you should be writing in Dutch. You should give it a go. And so they put the challenge to me, by Christmas, have a song written in Dutch. And I just laughed. I said, okay, all right, you're on. I'll do it. A song
Yeah.
by Christmas. And that kind of was the beginning of a journey where I discovered, I can actually do this in Dutch and I can tell stories in Dutch. Laat Me Niet Vallen was my second single. I'm really excited about that. It's really it's a song about being all in on something or all in on someone and not knowing how it's going to pan out. And
Mm.
and that edge of your seat kind of feeling of, how is this going to go?
Yeah.
And then Gumboots. Gumboots is a song about handling kind of life's unexpected, illogical, and messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of about attitude and about how you deal with life's curveballs, really. And then the first song that I did was the track that uses the land as a metaphor.
Sure. Sure.
Tracking the land is kind of a metaphor for navigating.
Sure. Okay. Okay. And would I be right in saying that you've got quite a number of songs written?
Yeah, a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, 3 out and 300 in the catalogue or something.
Sure. And are they all eventually gonna come out into the open for everyone to hear?
Look, I've got an album coming out later in the year. That's the sort of timeline for that, and another single, and possibly another, like a couple more singles this year as well. I don't know about the entire lot,
Yep.
but I would love to release more. And also, because I write a lot, I would be perfectly happy to collaborate with other artists,
Right.
to get some of the songs out. And
Yeah.
and especially, some of the Dutch music, I'd love to see other artists release some of my music because I've got it coming out of my ears really. And
Mm.
I can't possibly record, perform it all. And sometimes they're actually songs that would be better for someone else to perform. So I'm not really attached to being the voice on everything, because I write really broadly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So if you were to collaborate with somebody, who would it be?
Gosh, that's a question. I think there's some really brilliant artists in the Netherlands, but I wouldn't want to single one out.
Is there a community out there that would enjoy the Dutch language music?
Look, probably. I mean,
Yeah.
what I write, it's a mix, right? So I write
Yeah.
Dutch music and I write, English music, and actually
Mm.
the bulk of what I've got is in English, but I do have a portion of that in Dutch.
Yeah.
But I think, because releases are digital,
Yeah.
and social media and the online environment doesn't really deal with geographic boundaries. I think releasing something as a Dutch-born, Australian artist
Yes.
works perfectly fine, and it will find its audience. It will find its audience wherever they are.
Yeah. No, definitely, totally agree. Yeah. Yeah. So the album that you're releasing, are you able to touch on that at all, or the number of songs that are going to be on there, the themes that are going to be on it, or
Sure. Like I initially thought I would do an EP with the 3 singles that I've released and a few more songs. But then I had a couple of other songs that really only just needed some vocal overdubs. And I thought, if I add those to the other ones, it's an album. I should just release it as a whole. So that's why, so it's going to be an album instead of an EP. And because of that, there's been just a little bit of delay while I get those overdubs done.
sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do you do much touring at all?
Not currently
Mm.
because I'm writing for my releases, but I'm also working on a one-woman show, and so that's been in development for a while.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so I'm kind of working on writing, recording, and releasing music. That's my main thing.
Yep.
Although I do love to get in front of an audience. But
Yeah, sure, 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 sure. So just going back to the album, sorry, I should
yes.
have asked this question before, but is it locally produced or have you got your own producer, or are you a producer yourself, or?
It's because this has been a project that's been a while in the making.
Mm,
It's kind of it's not like it's been one studio, one set of musicians, one engineer. It's kind of a patchwork of different settings that have led to music that I'm collating in effect. And it's got some very established musicians on the album, and also new and upcoming jazz musicians that have come out of the UTAS Conservatorium. People like Alex Millward, Elijah Davies, Seb Folvig, Joshua Fudkin, like the guys that have come out of the jazz stream at UTAS. Yeah, so it's a good mix of musicians.
sure, sure. Festivals. Have you been involved in any of the jazz blues festivals around?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think one of the things with touring, especially being Tassie based, the logistics of
Logistics.
taking
Yeah.
an entire band interstate,
Yeah.
then you can't really do it for one gig. You've got to have a number of gigs lined up for
Yeah.
that to be economically viable. So I think there's just some logistical aspects, and that's not to say it can't be done. It can,
Yeah.
but I will do that when my music's out and when I really have the time to be able to focus on that.
Mm, mm, mm.
But I
You
have to say, by the same token, I am mad keen to go to Europe and do some gigging over there. I
a
love
lot
to see some, do some mixed Dutch English sort of gigs up there.
a lot of Australian artists are pretty big on traveling Europe when it comes to
Yeah,
music. I've spoken to a few artists that have said, "Oh, when during our winter season or winter spring season, they're off over in Germany, or they're in
yeah,
France, or and they absolutely love it over there."
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when
yeah.
you're
And I'm fortunate to have connections up there, so yeah, which is good.
Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. So when your album comes out, or even with your current releases, the singles, are you going to be marketing them through CDs as well, or is it just digital?
It'll be just digital.
Just
Yeah,
digital?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, CDs is not like I did that once, and you just end up with boxes in storage.
Yep,
And
yep,
it's,
yep, yep, yep.
and it's, it's not really environmentally friendly either. I mean, if I know that they're going places, then yeah, but I would sooner do vinyl than CD at this point.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
I
Yeah.
feel like there would be a bigger demand for that.
Bigger demand for the vinyl. Exactly.
I mean, in terms of my presence, I've got my website, which is renatebiancamusic.com, and then Instagram, Facebook, all the streaming platforms. I think, and there's a few others, but
Mm, mm, mm. All right. With the singles that you've got out now,
yes.
have they got a big following?
I think a lot of this, it's about traction. It's about
Yes.
traction. So I am due for new releases. So I need to, but it is about traction, because otherwise you do this release and it dips, release and it dips. And yeah. But I think, this is what I've been thinking about recently, also in the context of AI, and, how easy it is for people who haven't invested their 10,000 hours to just come up with AI generated music. It's really made me think about, there's the online environment and there's the offline environment. And I feel like music really is supposed to bring people together. It is an act of community.
Yes.
Music is like a meal. It's like sitting down and having a meal together. And I think creating music with other people, or sharing music by being there as an audience, it's like
Mm.
having a meal together. And I feel like those moments we need to emphasize those things more. And in some ways, I wonder, and I'm just wondering honestly, whether this whole notion of a professional artist, I'm a professional artist, and you're a professional what? Because it pays the bills.
Yeah.
But maybe it undermines the real core of what music is about, which is connection and being in a shared space and feeling the same vibration live with a group of other people. And if we take it away from this perfectionism and we make it more human, I think you've got something that is irreplaceable, and that is also irreplaceable with AI. And I think our ears get trained to everything being auto-tuned, everything being exactly, played to a click and being exact. But music it's stretchy. It's stretchy and it's messy and there's room and I think especially, my stuff is not hardcore jazz, but if you get into jazz terrain, there's space for play. And I think there is something inherent about music that is playful. And I think when we try to professionalize everything and digitize everything, we lose the playfulness and we lose the connection. So this is
Yes.
something that I've been thinking about lately and also about just making it just allowing access and inviting people in to what it is, and it's even in a fairly what might feel like a raw state and allowing people into that as a musician, as a creator. Yeah.
Yeah. Very passionate. No, indeed. I definitely see where you're getting at with that. Definitely. Music is a togetherness thing. So,
And in some ways, I feel like, because I was sitting having a coffee with someone just last week and we're
yeah,
talking about the AI thing.
yeah,
And I thought somewhere in between sitting down having a coffee with someone and standing on a stage performing is something, there's a space in between
yeah,
that is comfortable, that is an invitation into a shared space where it's not like me up there and you as the audience, where it's, I don't want to say like collaborative, but you know what I'm saying? I feel
yeah,
like there's a space there and I feel like that's a very powerful space. And I suppose house concerts sit a little bit in that. Yeah. Yeah. It really appeals to me actually, the more I think about it. And I think it sits well with my own artistic vision of bringing something that is human and that's real and that's authentic and vulnerable. And so it sits well with that too, I think.
yeah, yeah, right. That is, yeah, all right. So, do we have an expected date on when your album will come out? Or?
I've got a single coming out and it's called Bayao, which means at your place. And it's a celebration of French Bayao, which means at your place.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a celebration of friendship. And I had thought the album would be out and then I would do more singles, but the way it's looking now, I'll have more singles out before the album. So, see.
Sure. Okay. So you'll have the whole album out before the album comes out.
Who knows? Who knows?